Okay, hello. So I've been thinking about doing this for a while now, which is some album reviews. Go through different albums because why not? Fun. Um, Start with the Beatles. Go through the Beatles albums because it's quite well known that I'm a Beatles fan. So I thought we'd start in the most logical place. The debut album, Please Please Me. Released in March of '63, I think it was. Exact date 21st, maybe? It's somewhere around that period. Recorded a month earlier in just 12 hours at Abbey Road in London, or EMI Studios as it was back then. It managed to get to number one in May of '63, where it held on to it for 30 weeks. This was number one for 30 weeks. It'd have been longer as well if they hadn't released their second album, which was with the Beatles in November of '63. And that one knocked it off number one, and then it began its 29-week run at number one, I think. So yeah, anyway, but that's for another video with the Beatles. This is Please Please Me, album number one. That's the other side of it. Fun little fact about this one, it's the only one where the writing credits credited McCartney-Lennon rather than the traditional Lennon-McCartney. So there you go. This album consists mainly of live performances that they were doing, at the songs they were performing live at that time. So predominantly the likes of, looking at covers, Baby It's You, Twist and Shout, Chains, Anna Go To You, Go To Him even. But there are some original compositions in here which are pretty good ones as well. Some of them quite famous. Anyway, some of them not so famous. And when they recorded it, I think it's quite well known that John had quite a bad throat, so that's why Twist and Shout was left to the end, because it did shred his voice, and he was dreading it all day. And I think he said later on he was effectively just shouting at the record, on the record. Anyway, let's get going. I'll go through each one song by song. Right, so opening side one is I Saw Her Standing There, which of course Paul sings. This is a pretty iconic song in the Beatles catalogue. Paul still plays this live today. It's one of them songs that you can't help but smile at. It's a really upbeat, happy song. Yeah. I've seen him play this live, and I did have a little dance when I seen him do it, because it is a really upbeat, happy song. It's nice how it opens as well with the counting. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. I like it when albums start like that. It does give it that life, because this is effectively a live album, really. Then we have the second track, which is Misery, which is another McCartney-Lennon song. This one John sings. It's quite a slow song, this. I like this one though. It's the complete opposite really to I Saw Her Standing There. It's not as miserable as it might sound, judging by the name, but it is not the happiest of songs, shall we say, but it's a good song. And then we have the first cover of the album, which John sings again, Anna Go To Him. I really like this one. There's not a lot to say to it really, then he sings it really well considering he had a cold. Then we have the fourth track on side one, which is Chains, another cover. This one George sings. It's alright, this one. It's not the best song George has ever sung, but I like the harmonica on it. Then we've got Boys, which is another cover, and this is the only song that Ringo sings on the album. As usual with Ringo songs, it's a pretty happy, upbeat song. Bit like I Saw Her Standing There, you can't help but smile at this one, and Ringo, as usual, I know he's the worst singer in the Beatles, but he is still probably the one who you can always rely to put a load of energy into it, especially when he plays live with the Beatles. He's an energetic Ringo. Then we have the sixth song on the album, Ask Me Why, which is a McCartney-Lennon song. This one John sings, I think, if I remember correctly. It's nothing too special. It's not the best original composition on the album, but yeah, it's alright. Then we have the title song, Please Please Me. This one John sings, McCartney-Lennon song. It's weird saying McCartney-Lennon because it's always Lennon-McCartney. This one is, what was I saying? Oh, this was going to be the B-side to the debut single, which was Love Me Do. It was the B-side, actually. Because originally the B-side was going to be How Do You Do It, which George Martin was convinced was a number one. But, and he was right, because Jerry and the Pacemakers got it to number one in 1964, I think. But the Beatles, they recorded it, and it's on the anthology, but it's not the best song in the world, and Please Please Me, they did do the right thing doing that song instead. So anyway, that concludes side one, and on to side two. It opens with Love Me Do. which is one that Paul wrote when he was at school, when he was about 16. And John was originally supposed to sing this, but obviously he can't play harmonica and sing at the same time. So Paul sings it. And he started playing it live again recently, which is quite interesting because I think it's the first time away from the Beatles he's played it live, because I know he played it sort of on his 1989 World Tour, but that was the remix of P.S. I Love You and Love Me Do. And it's also one of the two songs that Paul McCartney owns the rights to, the publishing rights. One of the two Beatles songs, and the other one he owns the rights to is the next song on the album, P.S. I Love You, which is again a McCartney-Lennon song. This one Paul sings. It's just supposed to be based off a letter, really. He's writing a letter and he wants you to send his love to him and remember that he'll always be in love with you. You know, that's the kind of stuff that we're writing at this point. You know, it's nothing, you know, revolution, you know, it's not the best lyrics that you'll ever hear, but you know, they're happy lyrics, shall we say. Then we've got another cover, Baby It's You, which John sings. This is probably my favourite cover on this album, actually. I really like it, and the harmonies as well from Paul and George. Then we've got another McCartney-Lennon song, Do You Want to Know a Secret? This one George sings, which is the better of the two songs he sings on this album. Yeah, I like this one. It starts off quite slow and then it picks up a bit. Then we've got A Taste of Honey, which Paul sings that one, and I'm not the biggest fan in the world of this one. It's alright, but it's not the best thing in the world. Then we've got There's a Place, which is the last McCartney-Lennon song on the album. John sings this one, he sings it pretty well. Again, considering he's got a cold. Nothing too fancy, just good song really. Then we've got Twist and Shout to close it, which is one which everyone seems to think is an original composition, but it's not, it's a cover. I think it's, I hate using this term, but it's a bit overrated. Well, not overrated, it's overplayed, Twist and Shout. It's not the best song on this album, it's not the best song I've ever done, but it's alright. I do like it. It's a bit like I Saw Her Standing There. You can't help but smile when you hear it. So yeah, Please Please Me, decent album. Zoom it in a bit. Tells you each member of the band there and what their role is. All this stuff. I'll show you inside it quickly. The actual record. This is of course the remaster from 2012, I think the vinyls are, but it's just the 2009 remasters but put on vinyl, which was done in 2012. It's got the original I think is that upside down? Yeah, the original Parlophone label on it. Of course, we were still with Parlophone at this point. Well, they just signed to them, or EMI. They eventually, of course, went to their own company, Apple, in '68, but quite a bit off that point yet. So yeah, Please Please Me. Good album, I think. Good, solid debut album. I'll quickly talk about the album cover, which was taken at, I think it was Parlophone's headquarters in Manchester Square in London, which was, I'm just looking, it's pretty simple, it's not exactly Sgt. Pepper, but, you know, good photo of them. It was the photo that introduced the Beatles to the world, really. So as far as debut albums go, this is a pretty good one. And yeah, it's not my favourite Beatles album in the world, it's not my favourite debut album in the world either, but there's worse out there, let's be honest. So I'd probably give this a 7 out of 10. Pretty good album, I think. I don't know, is it better than With the Beatles? I'll save that for the next one. See ya.